My name is Sloane U'ren, and I was the director of Dimensions. I also produced it with my producing partner, and I production designed it.
And my name's Neeley. I am, producer, screenwriter, and I also compose the music.
When we were casting our film, I specifically found a good casting director because I knew that, even though we're a very small film, we're treating it like any other big film I'd worked on. So this casting director knows a lot of actors who do, both theater and TV and film. They're absolutely fantastic. And, all of them wanted to do it. They knew it wasn't big, Hollywood money. They just, wanted to do a good film.
And it was a great cast. We had Henry Lloyd Hughes, who's been in Harry Potter. He was in a show called The In-Betweeners, and he plays a real thuggish character in The In-Betweeners. And we hadn't seen it, which was lucky, because I think we would have had a preconceived
You might have had that in the back of your mind, because he's anything but thuggish in Dimensions.
Exactly. In Dimensions, he's sort of this obsessed, hyper-intelligent, obsessed scientist who's sort of lost in his own little world. And then we had Camilla, of course.
Camilla Rutherford, who's in Gosford Park, and she's in the TV show Rome, and I think The Borgias. Yeah.
She was fantastic.
Yes, she's great. And Patrick Godfrey, who's super. He played our professor, and he was, I think, most recently in Les Miserables.
Yeah.
But he was also in a few Merchant Ivory films.
Room with the View,
Remains of the Day, many films throughout the years, and he does a lot of theatre, as do most of the actors we used. And, Olivia Llewellyn was great, Sean Hart,
Probably the worst, that's funny in retrospect, experience was we had gazebos for, is it gazebo American term, is that?
It's like a pop-up. Is it the sort of 8x8 for the video village kind of?
Yeah, so it's basically it's a cover, a bit of shelter that's over the camera or the playback monitor or something. So what happened is, Cambridge is quite windy, and a massive draft of wind had obviously come along and picked this gazebo up, thrown it over the hedge, which wouldn't be too bad if it hadn't hit a lotus. There was a lotus part outside the thing, so luckily it didn't do that much damage, but still.
It got the wing mirror.
It was like
and we had insurance, so the insurance paid for the wing mirror. Luckily, it was just the wing mirror.
All these cheap crew cars or whatever. It's just like if it could have hit, he could have had our car, but to hit a brand new lotus.
Anybody else would have probably just been glad to have the story. I was working on this movie and I got a scratch.
But as producers,
it was really hard to tell the person whose car it was. I'm like, I don't know how to explain it, because it's like they're going to think you've made this up. There's no way this gazebo's gone over a 12-foot hedge and hit my leg. It's like someone's done this, but
it did.
And then filling in the insurance forms, of course, you're like, they're not going to believe this. There's no chance it's going to.
But it was so outrageous and so true.
I think
I think it's good because we're both good at different things. Like, I'm not, I can have my 2 cents about, the script and edit changes on the script and such, but I don't consider myself a writer. So he's the writer, and he doesn't want to direct, so I get to direct, and I want to direct. So we're both good at different things, so we can divide things that way.
And I think by this point we've got a fairly good process. I've written quite a lot of screenplays, and I tend to write in seclusion. I don't tend to tell Sloane what they're about. We don't tend to discuss them. I give them to her, and she says, yeah, I like that, or no, I don't. So it starts, I guess that's the beginning step, isn't it? And then from there, it's like she might run with it and then make some notes, and I'll come back. So we sort of divide up the workflow. I think it would be very, very difficult if we both wanted to direct, or both wanted to write, or I think then it gets tricky.
And didn't agree that way, because I like that he doesn't give me the scripts until he's done with them, because otherwise I'd obviously have something in mind. It's nice to read it fresh, because he of course never gets to read any of his scripts fresh, because he makes them up.
Our story, it's this our main character believes there's a infinite number of parallel universes, and some of them are almost identical to this one. Maybe I'm wearing a red jacket, and then some of them, wildly different. So I got quite interested in that element of the science of that backdrop. So we do quite a lot of research into that and watched quite a lot of things. And then when I guess they visualise in the film, you know, the professor explains to the kids how to visualise, you know, 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 dimensions, and he does it using masks. So there's these black masks. So I did spend a little bit of time wandering around with a black mask on, which, you know, it's hard to explain to people, really, isn't it?
You know, some people get this and they get that, and you have different people saying sort of similar, like, I got that, and not everybody does, but then occasionally you get someone who goes, I got that little detail, but did you mean that? I'm like, yeah.
I think
did that on purpose.
Yeah. I guess that was the thing, we quite early on we used to have our morning meetings, and our morning meetings meant walking the dog along the river, and just chatting, you know, through the whole thing and discussing it, and we started weaving, you know, very subtle elements into the story and the backstory and the fabric of the film. And the concept was that these, if you didn't get any of these, you should still enjoy. You should enjoy this film for, you know, there's characters and the, you know, the relationships, and there's a heart, there's a love story is part of part of the thing. You know, there's a few different interpretations, and it is interesting. Sometimes people
discuss it.
Yeah, it's great. Yeah, like heated discussions afterwards. No, this is what it meant. No, this is what it meant. It's really, as a filmmaker, that's, you know, if you can get that sort of response from people, it's really fun.
For our nighttime garden party scene, it rained, and that was just difficult, because I think we'd scheduled one evening shoot.
You could have one full night shoot.
Yeah.
Well, one till 2 a.m. night shoot.
Yeah, so we started at 4 in the afternoon, and we were meant to go till 2, and it was pissing down with rain until about 1:45, and you can't get weather cover insurance in the UK because it's just impossible, because it rains whenever it rains, and so I didn't know what we were going to do, and we had all these extras dressed to the nines, and everybody,
that's 40 or 50 people in vintage gear, and
everybody looked fabulous, and they were all in the house because it was raining. And then luckily our editor, who had this really nice weather app on his iPad, said, oh, if you wait another few minutes, you know, you can at 1:45 it's going to, you know, clear up. And so we shot
satellite
that.
Photos, isn't it?
Yeah, and then so we did shoot that scene really quickly, and it was meant to go into a bit with 2 characters talking longer, and we had to reschedule just the 2 characters in a different setting on a different night, and it actually worked better in the end. So that bit worked better.
We had this desire to tell our own story, so the next thing is like, how are you going to come up with the money? So we spoke to each other and said, listen, how about we sell the house? So we had a home in Twickenham, and we're like, we could sell the home and then use that money to fund a film, and that's ridiculous. You know, no one in their right mind would do that. It's such a risky business. It's so crazy. And we had a very honest conversation. And said, after a while, you know, I don't know how long this. In my mind, it took
a couple of weeks.
Yeah, but it probably didn't. It probably took several months.
Yeah.
And we probably got to the point where we said, if we make this film, and
it's nothing more than an expensive calling card.
Yeah, and that's as far as it goes in our life. Will we regret what we've done, or will we look back and say, we did that, we fulfilled that thing? And once, you know, we could honestly, both of us say, no, we won't regret it. You know, at that point,
no matter what happens, we'll be happy about it.
So, and then we started telling people about it, and when we pitched it as, oh, we're going to sell our house to make a film, everyone's like, oh, what are you thinking? But then we got to the point we realised that we said to people, listen, this isn't a financial decision, it's a life decision. This is about our lives. And when you get that, people go, oh, right, I get it.
And then there's completely behind you, like, that's a great idea, you know.
It totally clicks.
Yeah, you should do what you want. You know?
Really
you can always go back and, you know, rent or buy or do something, but if you don't do it,
yeah, you can go back and work on. You'll go back and work on other, you know, big films, and we could do that again. But it was funny watching that shift from, you know, no, not a financial decision, life decision, and people just going, right, okay, couldn't you? We're incredibly proud of what we've done. If you enjoy it and you think that, you know, your friend or your family or someone else you know might enjoy it,
please tell others.
Yeah, tell others and buy it for them. We'd really appreciate it. Our, you know, goal. After doing this, it would have been very easy if we'd finished this film and gone, that was great, we fulfilled that part of our life, we don't ever want to make another one. We do, we're passionate, we're working on other projects now, and we kind of need people's help, so please, you know, tell people about it.